It's Friday, the 24th of June, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we've got 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's get into it. Story number 1. How about this? Australians are getting richer, it seems, and their wealth jumped by 1/3 during the pandemic. The main reason, perhaps not a surprise, house prices.
Nothing builds wealth in Australia like owning a home. Yes, prices have come off a bit, but they're still much higher than pre-pandemic. National household wealth increased to almost $15 trillion during the March quarter, a record figure. The Australian Bureau of Statistics found per capita income hit around $575,000, which was also a record. Since the March quarter 2020, household wealth has increased by 35%. Now, that's thanks to a 40% jump in house prices. Also, there's been a 22.5% increase in superannuation balances. Is it good news? I suppose so. I mean, people like to feel wealthier, although it can push inflation. And there's also a chance that such a big jump in wealth, driven by one main factor, house ownership, can widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots. But I think overall, most people think it's good to be wealthier. What I do find remarkable, Michael, is the sheer amount of money in the economy, $15 trillion.
That is just a staggering figure. It's amazing.
Sure is.
Sean, story number 2. This one it's kind of confronting, really, for what it has found and what it means broadly for the mining industry. An 11-month Western Australian inquiry into the industry has recommended that mining companies introduce background checks, an industry-wide register for sexual harassers, and limit alcohol on all fly-in, fly-out sites.
It found that sexual harassment within Western Australia's fly-in, fly-out industry was generally accepted or overlooked, and there was a culture of cover-up. The report calls for tougher punishment against perpetrators and greater efforts to prevent them from working at other mine sites. And it also recommends mandatory sexual harassment and assault training for all employees. Now, good on the mining sector, and specifically Rio Tinto, which last year made public its own report into what happens on its sites. But it doesn't make comfortable reading. There is something drastically wrong in the sector.
Yeah, there sure is. Story number 3 today, Sean. Apparently there is little evidence that e-cigarettes help people quit smoking. This is according to the Health and Medical Research Agency. And in fact, they actually do damage.
Yes, not only do they not help you give up smoking, vapor is harmful. The advice provided by the National Health and Medical Research Council has been accepted by Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly and his state and territory equivalents. People who vape can be exposed to numerous harmful chemicals along with nicotine. The research also found that some e-cigarette users often become users of tobacco, in effect becoming dual users of both products. It sounds to me that if you're using vapes to give up cigarettes, it generally doesn't work.
No, it doesn't sound like it. All right, story number 4, Sean, one from the UK. They are in the midst of major transport strikes over there. The London Underground is closed. Many intercity services aren't running as well.
Yes, the dispute is over paid job losses and working practices. Only around 20% of normal train services ran overnight, and across many parts of the country, the network was actually completely closed. A couple of days ago, the Underground was closed completely. There's another strike set for Saturday. Funny thing, I was talking to a colleague the other day who was working from home in London because of the strike. What he said is post-COVID, strikes are much less disruptive because people are actually used to working from home.
That is quite interesting, isn't it? The fact that suddenly, for the first time probably in history, the power of a strike has been taken away.
Yes, exactly right.
Sean, final story. Story number 5. Slightly different story for us to include in the top 5 business stories, but Rupert Murdoch and his 4th wife, former supermodel Jerry Hall, have divorced.
Yes, the two were married for 6 years since 2016. It's sad for both of them, obviously. Rupert Murdoch himself is worth about $27 billion. He has no children to Ms. Hall. He has 2 to his previous wife, Wendy Dang. He has 3 to Anna Murdoch, and he also has a daughter, Elizabeth, to his first wife. Anyway, Mr. Murdoch, who is now in his 90s, is a single man again.
A bachelor.
A bachelor. There you go.
Wow. There we go. Very wealthy bachelor. All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 24th of June, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't quite enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.